Welcome to Nice Lick, Let's Learn It number whatever this is. I'll look that up and add it to the title later. And in my previous Nice Lick video I mentioned that I was thinking about retiring this series, and there was public outcry essentially that I would even consider such a thing. So you'll be pleased to learn that this series has won a reprieve, and I will be intermittently continuing with these nice licks. In this video I want to show you a little trick, I suppose, that you can use to add more rhythmic interest to your solos. We're going to be learning a nice lick, obvs, but also I hope this is a concept that you can use to get more mileage out of your existing licks. So let me start by playing the lick, we'll check that out and then we'll discuss. So we're in the key of A, and the notes in this lick are taken from the A minor pentatonic scale or the A blues scale. And the interesting thing about this lick is the rhythm, and it contains, I was going to say, a kind of polyrhythmic idea, although I'm not sure polyrhythm is quite the correct term here, so don't call that theory police on me, whatever you do. What we've got is a series of 4 notes that is played in a triplet rhythm, and that's really the essence of the lick. So we've got these 4 notes, we've got... So you can think 5th position, pattern 1, A blues scale here. And we're starting on this E note. These are our 4 notes. So we've got E, E flat, that's the flat 5th, and then a D, and then a C. That's our series of 4 notes. And naturally you're going to want to play those 4 notes in a quarter note or 8th note or a 16th note kind of rhythm. That's the natural and the obvious thing to do. So you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 1 E, and you're feeling that first note always on a strong beat. But we're not going to do that. We're going to feel this in triplets, which is quite a bit more challenging, but also makes this quite boring descending series of notes a bit more interesting and more of a lick. Let's take a look at this written down. I think it's a bit easier to understand what's going on this way. So you can see that we've got the triplets, each beat divided up into 3 equal subdivisions, but we've also got this series of 4 notes. So we're starting on beat 1 with that E note, but when the 4 notes repeat themselves, we've got that E note falling again, and this time it's falling on the 2nd triplet subdivision of beat 2. And then we've got another 4 notes, and then when we've got the E note cropping up again, we've got it falling on the 3rd triplet subdivision of beat 3. So the 4 notes are repeating themselves in more of an unexpected way. Now you may be one of those lucky people who can just feel this stuff and pick up these quite tricky rhythmic things just by ear in a very natural way, in which case good luck to you, you don't need my help. But for most of us, I think it takes a little bit of work to naturally be able to feel this stuff. So let me explain how I would go about doing that. The first thing to do is just to make sure that you can feel the triplet subdivision properly. So establish a beat, 2, 3, 4, and triplet is all about dividing that beat up into 3 equal parts. So ba 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 ba. And the common way to do this is to say 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, which I don't actually do anymore. I just find that a little bit awkward. It's not the most rhythmic thing to say 1 triplet, 2 triplet. It's just a bit of a mouthful. So I prefer to say 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a, or better might be just to make some kind of noises and just go da ba da da ba da 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 da. It's just a much more rhythmic way to feel triplet subdivision, I think. So once you're feeling those triplets, I suggest you build this up 1 note at a time, always making sure that you're feeling it as triplets rather than 8th notes or 16th notes. And that's going to be the challenge here, because naturally your ear wants to be hearing that group of 4 as 16th notes or 8th notes, and you want to always be hearing that E note on the beat. So this is the way I would go about it. So I'd start off with just that first triplet. So 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and then just add in the next note. So 3 and a 4 and a, and then the next note, 3 and a 4 and a 1. Next one. So 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. 1 and a 2 and a 3. And then keep on doing that until you've built up the entire pattern. And you find that the pattern repeats itself after one bar, and then the E note resets itself on the 1. So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a. So that's the basic idea. Once you've got that, I would strongly suggest doing it with a foot tap, or even better with a metronome. Get the metronome out and really make sure that you're feeling and hearing this lick properly as triplets. So I've got my metronome here, and I'm going to set that to 80 beats per minute. And it's a Yamaha metronome, incidentally. It's not particularly versatile, but it looks cool. And I'm just going to set that going. And that's going to give me the beat. And I'm just going to start feeling those triplets. So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a ba 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 ba. And the lick is a. So I hope by now you've got a feel for that group of 4 notes phrased as triplets. Let's move on and talk about the entire lick as I played it at the top of this video. And let me just remind you how that went. So you can hear that the lick kicks off with our sequence of notes, and initially I had the notes played here as I just showed them to you, but in the end I decided to play it like this. And I just thought it was a bit cooler that way, and it seemed to flow a little bit better. So the notes are exactly the same. We've got E, E flat, D and C, but I'm using an open E string, and I've got the E flat and the D on the B string, and I've got the C at the 5th fret on the G string. And I'm also introducing a pull off here from the E flat to the D, and it all flows a little bit smoother that way, I think. And I'm picking that with an upstroke, and then a downstroke, and another downstroke. And so that's the opening part of the lick, and I'm just repeating those 4 notes I think for 3 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm coming out of that like this. So playing all of this on the 3rd string, I've got sliding up to the 12th fret here, and then coming down the pentatonic scale. So once we get up here, I'm thinking about this position of the A minor pentatonic scale. So I suppose you could call that the C form, or I would more usually call that pattern 3 of the A minor pentatonic scale, or the A blues scale. So I'm sliding up to that G, descending to the A, and then coming back up to the C. So, and then we're into the second half of the lick, and I'm just repeating it but an octave higher. So it's the same 4 notes. So E, E flat, D and C. I've got the first 3 notes on the high E string, and I've got the C at the 13th fret on the B string. And again, I've got to pull off in there just to make it flow a bit more smoothly. So pulling off from the E flat to the D. And I think I'm playing 2 bars worth of that, and the lick finishes with a descending pentatonic sequence. So it starts off with our 4 notes, but I'm continuing on down the minor pentatonic scale as far as this G note. So, and then I'm going up to a C and descending from there. And I'm changing position in the middle of that series of notes. So I'll hit that E and then sliding down on the G string. And ending up on this root note here. I think I'm ending with a slide up to the root note here at the 12th fret on the A string. So let's put all of that together slowly then. 2, 3, 4. And why not turn the fuzz on and play it a bit faster? Let me tell you a bit about the gear that I'm using today. And I suppose I've gone a little bit Hendrix. I've got the Strat, I've got a Marshall and a fuzz face. And my particular Strat is one of the more recent vintage reissues. I think it's called an American Vintage 65 Strat, something like that. And it's just a nice sounding, nice playing Strat. Always like the white colour as well. Always fancied a white Strat and finally got around to buying one a couple of years ago. The amp is my Marshall Studio Vintage amp, which is a lovely amp. I've been using that quite a lot lately. And I have actually quite recently got an attenuator to go with it. I spoke in previous videos about how loud this thing is, even though it's supposedly a low wattage, low power, studio friendly amp. I suppose it is studio friendly, but it's not really bedroom friendly, this amp. And sitting next to that amp while trying to make YouTube videos, it was just a little bit too painful. So I went and got one of the Universal Audio aux boxes. And I'm just using that to reduce the volume slightly and to reduce the pain, really, of sitting right next to a cranked Marshall Plexi. And other than that, I'm just recording as I normally would. I've got microphones on the cabinet and I'm not recording direct or anything like that. The thing with the aux box, it's a bit more than just an attenuator. It's got all of these direct recording capabilities and effects and cabinet simulation and that kind of thing, which is very cool, but I've not really experimented too much with any of that yet. And I prefer, if I'm honest, just to get the sound in the room and then put a microphone in front of the amplifier. And the pedal I'm using is my fuzz face. For some reason I've got 3 fuzz faces. I've got an old red Dunlop one from the 90s, and I've got a silver reissue fuzz face which is broken. And then I've got this one, which is one of the Jimi Hendrix model fuzz faces. I think I'm right in saying that this is a silicon-based fuzz face. Let's have some sounds then. So to start with, this is just the Strat going straight into the Marshall with no fuzz face. And then if we have a bit of fuzz face. So there we have it. Hope you enjoy learning to play this nice lick. As usual, the tab and my backing track are going to be up on my Patreon page. And all of this Strat through a Marshall stuff has got me thinking about Jimi Hendrix and maybe doing a proper Jimi Hendrix lesson at some point. Is that a good idea, or has Hendrix already been done to death by everybody else on YouTube? I don't really know, so let me know if you think that's a good idea or not. I could look at an obvious tune, or I could maybe look at something a bit more unusual. Thanks for watching this video. I shall see you next time. Cheerio.